Alright, so we've got some brand new information with regards to Sonic Frontiers that we need to get into today, once again from people that were at the booth and played the game. And I think the big one today is the cyberspace, because that's the topic that everyone is talking about based on these recent footage reveals. So we're going to get into all of this right now, but if you're subscribed to the channel already, please make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, hopefully 70,000 subscribers before Sonic Frontiers comes out. So we've got two different people who have played the game, and they are giving their thoughts. First, we're going to get into the one from Alana Pierce, who was able to try out the demo. Now, I'm not going to play the full clip here, but the summary is basically that the open world wasn't as fun as the cyberspace. But obviously, because the cyberspace is NDA, you can't talk about that. But I'm not here to talk about opinions. Obviously, that's just someone's personal experience. I can relate to that because the cyberspace levels are traditional boost Sonic levels, or at least Kishimoto boost Sonic levels, and the open world is kind of the quote-unquote new thing. And given that it doesn't have that control and feel that a lot of us wanted to see, I'm not going to say the M word before people get mad at me again, it means that the open world may be lacking in those areas or the desire to replay it. But one little detail was let slip in this review.
There was one that when I got to, I was finding very difficult, and I was trying my best, and the one of the PR people, I guess, was like, hey, you aren't high enough level to be able to do this one.
And if you don't know what that means, it means that there is RPG elements in the game. As we already know, there's some kind of leveling up system, and apparently she got to some point where there was a boss or some enemy that she was struggling with, and the person who was running the booth basically said, yo, you're not high enough level to get here, right? Now, if you play games with RPG elements, we call this level gating, right? It's a way to basically prevent you from progressing past a certain point, because you see an enemy that maybe looks like other enemies they've already faced off against, but they're at, say, level 20 and you're only at level 15, therefore they are ridiculously OP and you can't beat them until you grind to a higher level, right? Doing things like this ensures that you have to grind a certain amount to progress throughout the game, because if these things are mandatory to progress and you're not at the certain level that you need to be at, then you have no choice, right? Now, sometimes they don't technically force you. Like, some games might be like, you're not high enough level, you can't do this. And other games will be like, you're level 30, the recommended level is level 50, go ahead, and you just die anyway. But it's just like, we'll let you try, right? You're gonna get one-shotted, but we'll let you try. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is going to get progressively harder, right? Because even if there is level gating in the game, they're expecting you to do a certain amount of grinding from doing tasks, whether it's, I guess, cyberspace or puzzles or combat in general. As long as you're on the same level as the enemies, that the difficulty is going to be about the same, right? I guess if you grind it even harder, it'll be easier, but it will take you longer to beat the game. That's just how RPGs work. If you're really good, you can usually beat an enemy that's maybe a few levels above you, but you're gonna have to put in a bit more work. And if you suck, you could just over level, which will take you longer, and then you'll be able to wash everyone like T.I. did on Swagger Like Us. Personally, I prefer when the difficulty comes from actually making the enemies harder to like dodge and avoid and harder to attack, versus, oh, he's at this level and you're at that level kind of thing. And I mean, Sonic has done this before. Like with Sonic Unleashed, the Werehog enemies do scale up level wise to accommodate for you getting stronger, right? Like if you remember struggling with enemies in Winmore Isle and then go back and finish Eggman Land after you've leveled up, and then you go back to Winmore Isle enemies, you just run through them like they're nothing, right? But those same looking enemies in Eggman Land would still take you more hits to defeat, right? Which is kind of the problem as well, because it makes going back to the earlier areas even easier. Let's say there's 4 islands in Frontiers according to the leaks, and you get to the 4th island, you've leveled up a considerable amount. Is it even worth going back to the 1st island to do any combat if you're just gonna run through everyone now? I think some games do employ kind of a level gating everything based on where you are level wise as a way to keep the challenge going, but I guess we'll see how Frontiers tackles this exactly, right? But anyway, on to the cyberspace level. As we already know, we saw 2 potato quality cyberspace level reveals, as the official embargo does not lift until the 29th of June, and we saw Green Hill and Sky Sanctuary. Of course, people were on the hopium copium saying that it wasn't Green Hill and Sky Sanctuary, Sky Sanctuary, but of course, anyone not in denial could see that it was Green Hill Sky Sanctuary. Nonetheless, we've gotten more footage, and now more people are starting to accept that it is in fact Sky Sanctuary. We got this tweet here that says, a new look at the cyberspace level from Sonic Frontiers. Seems like Sky Sanctuary, with the Death Egg being in the background, seemingly confirming the reuse of level themes and assets from Sonic Generations. I like how everyone just accepts the Sky Sanctuary from Generations, even though it's technically from Sonic 3, because the Generations assets are the ones that everyone just keeps using and everything. Like, I swear, like, there are now times that I open Sonic 1 and after I finish Green Hill, I expect to see Chemical Plant, because I've seen those two like show up next to each other so many times. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Marble Zone, it's not Chemical Plant. Anyway, I'm gonna play the footage here. And yeah, it's very faint, but you can get some kind of idea of what the level design is going to be like. Probably something similar to Force's modern levels, right? Now, someone who was at the Summer Game Fest booth, who claimed to play the demo, but people didn't believe him because he said negative things, has now shown some footage of the demo. Now, again, maybe he didn't play the demo, maybe he just filmed from the booth. We know this person was at the booth. Whether they played the demo or not, I don't know, because, I mean, you're leaking cyberspace footage. So he did claim that he did not sign an NDA, which would be the only person who didn't sign an NDA who was able to play the demo, apparently. I don't know, but the footage is legit, so we're going to take a look at it. He says, I mean, since we leak in Sky Sanctuary levels, have at it, people. And as you can see, there's someone playing the demo that is clearly the target audience for Kishimoto and Izuka, because this person is on a basic rail switching section, doesn't switch to the correct rail, and then falls to their death. Those next gen loadings coming in handy though, because that shit, like, they died and they were right back up there, like, instantly, right? This same person leaked one more clip while blurring out someone in the footage. I'm guessing this is the person who was actually supposed to be playing the game. Maybe he was able to sneak in a few minutes. Maybe he knows the person. And yeah, you get to see a bit more of the level. And again, based on the Force's control that's been reworked for Frontiers, this seems pretty much what I was expecting. Kishimoto quality level design, right? So Forces. Nothing to write home about. But I mean, the model levels were the best part of Forces. So I mean, I guess I'm not surprised here. It is what it is. But now this is where things get even more interesting. Someone asks, do you know how long these cyberspace stages are? And this guy responds, I put in about 1 minute 45 before my session was done, but I did see someone complete this in about 2 minutes 57 if I remember correctly. Basically confirming that the levels are around Force's length, right? Now what are you probably thinking, 2 minutes 57, that's way longer than Force's length. Well, we just saw someone on a basic rail switch just fail and die. So given that Forces and pretty much a lot of Sonic games keep your counter going even when you die, it's not like the older 3D Sonic games where if you hit the checkpoint at 1 minute 30 and then you die at 1 minute 50, your time will go back to 1 minute 30 when you respawn. No, the latest Sonic games, you hit the checkpoint at 1 minute 30, die at 1 minute 50, you go back to the checkpoint, but your time since 1 minute 50 keeps going up. So 2 minutes 57 is including fails, most likely, just like it did in Forces. So if someone is failing a basic rail switch and retrying over and over again and it's taking them 2 minutes 57, that already proves that the levels aren't going to be that long, right? This guy was able to do it in 1 minute 45. I don't know what his skill level was like, clearly better than the 2 minutes 57. But I imagine once you know how to dash through these like a maniac, or you're like a seasoned Sonic fan and not a filthy casual, 1.5 minutes max and it's done. So again, expect Force's length on these, right? But yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I mean, I don't want to say it's a shame because I'm not surprised, but yeah, Force's kind of levels is what I would expect. It's the same people that worked on Forces, so this is no surprise here. What makes this worse is that it's reusing Generations assets, because again, as I said before, it's not going to surpass Generations level design quality. So we're just going to see inferior Sky Sanctuary, inferior Modern Green Hill, inferior Chemical Plant, inferior Seaside Hill, well, inferior Seaside Hill, because the original Seaside Hill and Heroes is still the best one. Fight me. So in a sense, it's like a slap in the face to those of us who loved and played hours and hours with Sonic Generations, because it's like, look at these levels that you loved, but inferior versions. It almost feels like a remake of a game that you love, but then completely butchered. Like completely butchered. That's what this is gonna feel like in terms of the cyberspace. Because if they had used the original environments with the Forces level design, at least you'd have that, well, it's something fresh. It's not the same quality as Gens, but it's fresh environments, which gives it some kind of break. Just like how Lost World has superior gameplay to Colors in my opinion, but then Lost World looks so generic that at least Colors stands out with its superior soundtrack and superior environments. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. We got an information on level gating in the open world of Sonic Frontiers. We see more of the cyberspace, and it's clearly looking like it's Generations, but worse. Are you more or less hyped for the game? And of course, a big shout out to all my channel members. If you want to become a channel member, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Premy out.